Good morning. I'm Anushka Sameer and today I've been given this honor to introduce you to Captain Gil. Captain Gil is the founder of CEFAT, Center of Excellence for Aviation Training. He was a fighter pilot in the Indian Air Force for 31 years and he was a Top Gun in 1989. He later flew in commercial airlines for 16 years as an A320 instructor. And so, today, let us listen to his views on being a commercial pilot professionally. So, sir, having flown for so many years, how would you describe flying to me?
Okay, Anushka. Flying is thrilling, exciting, and adventurous. But it is very challenging to be a pilot because it demands devotion, expects dedication, a lot of hard work, discipline, and focus. However, given all that, flying is fun and it's extremely satisfying professionally. There will be occasions when you are faced with failure, but then that is a part of life. But to overcome that, and those who succeed in meeting their goals, they have to persevere and be gritty. And also remember, in flying, you have to be well prepared because the aircraft is moving. You are required to do every action promptly. You do one action at a time and then you should follow it up with the following action. If you don't do it promptly, you start lagging behind the aircraft. And by the time the third action is required, you are overloaded and overwhelmed. And the aircraft seems to start going out of control. Therefore, what is essential is to be able to be so well prepared to anticipate the follow-up action that you have to take and be well prepared. Now let me tell you that just being well prepared itself may not be good enough. You have to be over-prepared. Let me give you an example of what do I mean by over-prepared. I read a story about an athlete who had won 4 gold medals, and I read about his practice that he used to do. Every day he practiced for 8 hours, and by the end of that 8 hours he used to be so fatigued that he could barely walk back home. But then he would muster up all the courage, make a resolve, and run one more race before he left for home. No wonder he had won 4 medals. And that is precisely what you need to do for your flight. So one has to be well prepared for a flight to be able to handle any situation that may arise. So I believe that flying is done at home. What really it means? There will be unforced situations that will develop in the flight, and one should be well prepared for every eventuality to handle them successfully. And that is the mantra for flying. That is, be ready before you get airborne. And it's not a question of kick the tire, light the fire, and off you go. Because I would also say that 67% of accidents take place due to hurry in pre-flight. And good preparation will ensure that you are never in a hurry.
So, sir, when flying is so rewarding, how is it that so many people have a dream to be a pilot but fail to pursue it?
Okay. Some people who have a passion and self-belief to fulfill their dream, but there are some who have the fear of failure. They have it as a dream, but they are apprehensive that they may fail. That is one reason. Next, some people have come to believe that it is gender-based and one needs to have macho image to be a pilot, which is very untrue. Then there are some who feel that they are not capable of becoming a pilot and or they are weak in something, I have only this to say, anyone who believes like that, it only means that they never have tried enough. Because I believe if you are ready to work hard, anyone can become a pilot if only they persist and continue to put in every amount of effort what it takes to be a pilot. Now let me dispel some myths about flying. Firstly, it is not gender based. Today there are so many women who are flying as fighter pilots in various air forces of the world. What flying requires is application to situations and good preparation, and persist with your dream with the passion that is required, the hard work that is required. And I believe that if somebody is ready to put in that kind of effort, hard work, persist and with grit, one can easily be a pilot. So these people have that feeling of fear of failure, which is the main cause that they always have dreamt to be a pilot, but they were not ready to put in that effort or take a risk of taking up this profession, because the biggest risk is never taking one, which is the cause of failure. So I would only say to such people, have self-belief, work hard and persist and persevere. You surely can be a pilot.
That is very interesting to know, sir. So, what advice would you have to such young people aspiring to be pilots? And what really does it take to be a pilot?
So the first thing is that to be a pilot, you should have real passion to be a pilot. Many aspiring pilots consider their hope, wish and desire as passion, which is very untrue. So let me first tell you what really is passion to be a pilot. So let me tell you what really is passion. Passion is a single-mindedness of purpose. You have a goal, you have a dream, and you are ready to sacrifice everything else but to pursue for your goal. And you continue with enthusiasm and emotion attached to it until your goal is achieved. Rest everything you are ready to sacrifice until the goal is achieved. And that really is passion. Towards that goal, you forget about sleep, hunger, or any other activity that you may be interested in until the goal is achieved. That is passion. Merely hope and desire is not passion, because if wishes were horses, beggars would ride. We must be very clear about it as regards what is passion. So as regards your question about what it takes to be a pilot, an aspiring pilot must have very strong passion to be a pilot and then work towards it. So for the aspiring pilots, they must understand one has to take a very well-defined path, and that is to follow a very rigid routine towards your preparation. And also one must take professional guidance and coaching to study about the aviation subjects. It is not just for passing the exam which is conducted by the regulatory authority, but it is to acquire the knowledge with understanding to be able to handle future situation while you are flying. Towards this, one needs to study books, read novels, books like The Naked Pilot by David Petty, Airport, Flight into Danger by Arthur Haley, and regularly watch accident-related videos to train and educate yourself for the future conditions that you would be in. And this is absolutely essential for an aspiring pilot to follow such a routine. Towards this, I believe in 5 P's for a flight. What are these 5 P's? Plan, prepare, perspire, persevere, and performance will follow. This is very essential to stay ahead of the aircraft. And then these 5 P's becomes an armor for defense, because forewarned is forearmed. Let me narrate the experience of the Henry Ford, the car maker. While he was attaining success, some of his colleagues and those who were associated with him and said, "You are very lucky to have attained this success." And he said, "Yes, I am, because the harder I work, the luckier I become." And that truly is the mantra for flying for the aspiring pilots, to follow that path. It is hard work and there are no shortcuts to it.
Alright, so that was very informative and I'm sure it's very helpful to a lot of our viewers. What do you think what is the main cause of accidents in aviation?
First of all, we must know certain statistics. Majority of the air accidents are attributed to human error. And the figure is that 73% of the accidents take place due to human error. Accidents are caused, as revealed by the inquiries, is not that the pilots were wanting to create an accident. Accidents happen because lack of preparation. So pilots do not plan to have accidents. However, they may have failed to plan for their flights. Knowledge is power is known to all of us. And with knowledge comes confidence. Otherwise, with lack of knowledge, it shatters the confidence. And that is where one is unsure of the actions to be taken when they are in the air and faced with unfamiliar situations. Okay, flying is thrilling, exciting, and very adventurous as long as one is well prepared. If not, it can be extremely challenging and stressful. A very important factor that I can think of which contributes to accidents is complacency. What do I mean? One cannot live on past glories. Every flight brings in a new challenge. And there is a common saying and belief, every pilot is as good as his or her last landing. Which means you got to prepare for every flight, every time, every day. Every flight is a new beginning and new challenges emerge, and one has to be totally prepared to handle them. Then only flight can be considered safe. If not, complacency and lack of preparation can be calamitous. And now I shall refer to one more factor, which is overconfidence. And let me say how does it develop? A pilot becomes a captain, or he's had some experience on the type of aircraft he is flying. Very soon and very quickly, a pilot starts taking them for granted. He starts taking the aeroplane for granted and every flight for granted. And like I said, you cannot live on your past glories. There is one thing very important. The aeroplane behaves very well if you handle the aeroplane as per the laid down procedures and be disciplined about following them. If not, if you deviate, one cannot be sure as to what will be the end result for that deviation, which may end up in an accident. So in short, what is overconfidence? Overconfidence is a belief amongst people who are piloting that they do no wrong, they know it all, and they don't have to prepare because they have been flying for so long. But if you see the history of various accidents that take place, people having flown for 35 years, 40 years, it does not matter how much experience you have. The bottom line is you've got to be ready and well prepared for every flight that you're going to undertake, regardless of your experience. As you gain experience in flight, the tendency is to less attention towards your study material. So I have a very simple thought process to it. To fly professionally and to fly safely, a pilot must dedicate every day certain amount of time, that means at least 1 hour, towards the profession. Then only you can think of that you are all the time remaining with the laid down procedures, all the time up to date with how you should be facing the new challenges when you're going to new destinations. The three main factors which attribute to accidents are lack of preparation, complacency, getting that feeling I am too good, or overconfidence, to have the belief I don't make any mistakes. From every flight there is something to learn, and unless you have that attitude and approach to learn regardless of your past experience, regardless of your status, then you remain safe. Otherwise, there is a saying what is so often seen around the railway tracks: "Savdhani hati to durghatna ghati," and that is aviation. So let us understand one thing: complacency and overconfidence has no place in aviation. Aviation by itself is not really dangerous, but like the sea, it is inordinately unforgiving of any carelessness or neglect. So in the end, to conclude what we have been discussing, let me quote Henry Longfellow, who said, "Height attained and reached by great men, but not attained by a certain flight. But they, while their companions slept, were toiling upward in the night." So what is the key to success is preparation and hard work. Never give up, never say die. And I will finally again emphasize, remember, flying is done at home.
So what I understand, sir, is that to be a safe pilot, we must always respect the sky and not be overconfident, and we must always be over-prepared. Alright, sir. Thank you so much for your time, and this was a very informative talk. And stay tuned for more podcasts, and remember that flying is done at home.